Welcome to another Growing Useful Plants video. In this segment we are going to cover composting. First we're going to talk about microorganisms. This is composted material. The significance of this is that it contains vast amounts of microorganisms. Right here there's billions and billions. There are so many on Earth that it's considered more numerous than the stars in the universe. Microorganisms are hopelessly understudied, but one thing is clear. Microorganisms are responsible for breaking down organic matter into a size that plants can uptake through their roots. Additionally, some microorganisms have a symbiotic relationship with plants. Because of these two factors, microorganisms are essential in your garden. To build a compost pile, you will need two types of material: wet and dry. Dry material could be dried leaves, dried grass clippings. Wet material could be kitchen scraps or fresh garden clippings, anything green. There are many optional ingredients to increase the quality of your compost. Manure, which will increase the nitrogen levels; bone meal, which will increase the phosphorus levels; ash, which will increase potassium levels. And there are many other things that you can add to your compost pile. Start with leaves and spread it evenly on the ground where you plan to put your compost pile. Then add wet material. Layer it on top of the dry material. Now you can add the other additions to your compost pile. Here I'm adding cocoa shell. And now I'm going to add a layer of manure. At this point, when you have added all your additional ingredients, wet the pile thoroughly. Now you just gotta rinse and repeat until you have used up all your material, and you're aiming for a pile that is about 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. There are many ways to access the different types of materials needed for a compost pile. Dry material could come straight from your own garden. You could pick up bags on the side of the road, or you can go to the forest and collect. Wet material can be fresh garden clippings or kitchen scraps. If there's a limited availability, then you can use manure instead of wet material. Manure comes in many forms. Typically fowl, goat and sheep manure, cow and horse manure. More rare is rabbit and donkey manure. Most manures require to mature before you can use them, and it will be matured within the compost pile. But you can also mature it without a compost pile. Just pile it up and treat it like a regular pile. You should finish off your pile with leaves. Then give it a heavy soaking. Be aware that the compost pile cannot be too wet nor too dry. When the last layer of leaves is on your compost pile, the pile now has to rest for 5 days. After 5 days, we have to turn the compost over every 2 to 3 days for about 4 weeks. Then the compost is ready to use. The reason why we're turning over the pile every 2 to 3 days is to aerate the compost pile. And that is because the microorganisms are just like humans. They need food, air, and water. So we want to make sure they have all of these 3 ingredients available. And that's it for composting.